bunch. No meat on Friday.
Oh, meat? What do they eat? Light bulbs?
Now, of course, I hope that you've all been to Mass on Ash Wednesday, but what happens to the ashes afterwards?
Man, you guys got more crazy rules than Blockbuster Video.
Hey, Father Roderick, this is Rick from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada.
Hey, Rick.
I have a simple question for the Peculiar Bunch. After the Ash Wednesday Mass, in which on our foreheads we get the mark of the cross inscribed with ashes, what do you do with the ashes? Do you have a special procedure to kind of get rid of it, or do you save it till the next year? I'd like to know. Thanks.
Very good question, and I'd like to broaden that question a little bit. How to dispose of objects that once were blessed. Like, for instance, you might have a rosary, and it was blessed when you received it, and then, but it gets worn and it breaks, and what do you do with it? Do you just throw it in the garbage bin? Same question, for instance, with, let's say holy water. We mentioned that before, or in this case, the ashes. Well, usually, the Church asks us to be very reverent towards these blessed objects. It's not that they themselves are like magical objects or anything. I mean, the blessing is, of course, God's blessing, but it's part of what a blessing actually does. It devotes a certain object to a specific religious purpose. It kind of sets it apart. A rosary that is blessed is not just an object, something you can sell again, but it has been blessed for a specific purpose, and that is to help you grow in your relationship with God by meditating on the mysteries of faith and the mysteries of the lives of Jesus and Mary by praying that rosary. So it would be very irreverent and almost ungrateful to just throw it away and just, I don't need it anymore. It would kind of almost be an insult of the original blessing that was given and the original purpose given to this object. However, of course, everything that is material gets used up and breaks after a while, and at one point there will be a moment that you will have to dispose of it. Nothing is eternal in this world. And so how do you do that? Well, to show our reverence for these blessed objects, usually what happens is that you somehow try to bring it back symbolically to the core elements of our world. I mean, everything that is material has been created out of this material world, and so it's brought back to the original elements, like, for instance, earth, or water, or fire, or even the wind, And in this case, with, for instance, holy water, I told you you pour it into the ground in a special place. And so it returns to the earth in a way. With other objects, you can burn it, like, for instance, the holy oils that have been consecrated by the bishop during in the Holy Week. Those oils have been used all year long for the anointment of the sick, for the sacrament of confirmation, for baptism, for catechumens. And so those oils are very sacred because and they've been set apart. It's not that you can just pour it back into the flask and then just reuse it over and over and over again. Now, once you go in the Holy Week to that Mass where the bishop blesses the new oils, you're supposed to burn the old ones. And this year our bishop has asked us, all the parishes in our diocese, to bring the old oils, and some parishes stack like 10 years of old flasks of oil somewhere. They stash it away and they don't know what to do with it. They don't dare to throw it away. And so our bishop told us, well, just bring it with you, and we will dispose of it. We will burn that. We'll make sure that happens in a reverent way. And I think that is a very good idea, because a lot of people haven't never received education in this respect, and so they don't know what to do with it. And so, but of course, with these ashes, these blessed ashes, you can't burn them, because they are already burned. So what do you do with it? Well, in this case, I looked around a little bit on the internet, also with the help of the Ustream audience before we started the show, and we came upon a number of websites with some answers. I'm not exactly sure about the reliability of these answers. That's always a problem with the internet. You know, if it's unless it's explicitly stated where it comes from, you always have to take it with a grain of salt and always verify, especially when it's about very important things. But, well, we found this answer basically the same what I said. You know, you kind of try to return it to the original elements, and so excess blessed ashes can be poured into a body of water, such as a lake or an ocean. And then it continues, if such disposal is not convenient, at least the sacramental should be altered so that its form no longer appears to be a sacramental. And a sacramental, by the way, is not the same as a sacrament, but it's kind of like, well, for instance, a holy card or a statue, something that kind of prepares you for the sacramental grace that God wants to give you. And of course, prayer, by praying the rosary, helps you to think of God and to be open for the sacramental grace of the Eucharist. If you bless yourself with holy water when you enter a church, same thing, it's a sacramental. It's a material object. It has no magical power, but it by making the sign of the cross with the blessed water, you're reminded of your baptism. And so hopefully that will open you up to more fully receive or accept the grace that God offers you during the time that you're in church, etc. And so, holy cards can be torn into pieces. Well, of course, you can always also burn it. A statue could be broken into small pieces and buried. For instance, you can also bury something in the ground. And so, and by the way, it's important to know that once you've disposed of the material, it's no longer blessed. I mean, because the blessing, again, is consecration, is dedication to a specific purpose. If the object itself falls apart, it no longer fulfills that purpose. So don't worry about it afterwards. The same thing if you sell an object that once has been blessed, the blessing stops. Because, of course, it's no longer, it has no longer the same purpose anymore. But then again, also, be careful, you cannot just sell blessed objects. Again, that would be kind of not very reverent and not very grateful for the gift of God's blessing that has been given to you through that object. So I hope that makes sense, and I hope that answers your question. Now, what to do with the ashes on your forehead? I had another question via email or Facebook, I can't remember. Someone asking me, do you try to keep them on as long as possible? If you receive them in the morning, do you have to make sure not to touch your forehead until the evening? I'd say, well, there's really no rules about that. However, if you listen to the gospel during Mass, Jesus tells you, if you want to fast, if you want to pray, if you want to do some good by sharing your money, don't show it to the world. Just don't go on the street and drawing attention to yourself and, hey, look at how holy I am, man. Holy person who does that. That's good. You won't get a reward because you already get your reward. And so Jesus tells us, well, you do things in the invisible. That's your Father sees what's happening in the invisible. Just don't be like the Pharisees that want to show off how holy they are. That's exactly the opposite, I think, of what Jesus means. And I think, keeping the ashes on your forehead and showing off like, hey, I went to Ash Wednesday Mass. What about you, little pagan? I don't think that's really what Jesus would recommend. All right, and from the holy ashes we go to the Hollywood, the world of Hollywood, the world of movies and TV series. Just very, very briefly.